For more on all this, let's go ahead and bring in Mike Bako. He's the sports editor for dailynational.com. Mike, thanks for being with us. First, these aren't the same restrictions, the type of restrictions we saw, for example, for the NBA, which were stricter. What are some of the differences? And naturally, people are asking, are they enough?
Well, the biggest difference is that when the NBA playoffs were going on, it was what one would call a more pressing time for COVID positivity. It was during the summertime. They were bubbled in the Orlando bubble. NBA players certainly were there longer as well than what was going on here for the NCAA. You're looking at a 3-week period versus about a 2-month period. Also, just one of the things to keep in mind is that this is going to be spread out over multiple facilities across Indiana. So they're going to be playing at the big football stadium, and they're going to also be playing at other college arenas as well as the professional arena there. But the biggest difference is that there are going to be fans, 20% capacity for a lot of professional sporting events too that are on the horizon, including some NBA teams and including some Major League Baseball teams.
In Indiana for the men's games, I believe the women are in Texas. But the college basketball tournament was canceled last year. Getting it back on track, obviously important, not just for morale, but for business, right? I mean, the NCAA took a significant financial hit.
Absolutely. I mean, all sports took a significant financial hit. And if you want to look at the bottom line, it's billions of dollars coming in from the CBS and Turner Sports deal where the games are being televised here in the States on the women's college basketball side on ESPN. So that was a huge loss, not only for the bottom line of the individual schools, but also just from a programming standpoint from their television partners, which again, if you want to strip everything away and you want to talk about college athlete safety and what should be going into that, that's one part of the equation. The other part of the equation are the dollars and cents. And that's where sort of this year's tournament, it was a foregone conclusion that it was going to happen. And the season was able to happen, no matter how many players had to go into COVID protocol, no matter how many teams had to postpone games and then themselves go into quarantine. The season went on. Here we are in the tournament. And the NCAA has a backup plan. They've got additional teams waiting in the wings in case there is something that goes on here in the beginning weeks of the tournament in terms of teams having a positive or needing to go into a significant quarantine.
I mean, if this backfires, they're going to be accused of prizing profits over safety, but we'll see what happens with that. I want to shift gears to the Tokyo Olympics. Foreigners are being banned from attending. Is that a fair restriction to have? I mean, might it just have been better to cancel the games altogether?
Well, again, let's go back to the dollars and cents. You're looking at billions of dollars, not only in infrastructure and the planning of the games, but already $10 billion, let's call it, in lost revenue that from canceling the games from 2020 to 2021. In terms of not having fans there, you're already seeing other parts of Europe going into lockdown. Vaccination rates not as high, as much of an issue as we've had here in the States in terms of availability. It's dwarfed in other parts of the country where not only the most vulnerable have been able to get their vaccinations. And again, spiking rates in Japan as well. So not having fans there, you take that out of the equation months in advance so you know what you're getting into. Now, from an athlete perspective, that's where the next layer of this comes in. Will those athletes need to be vaccinated? Is there going to be just an athlete-specific type of vaccination program, or are they going to rely on nation to nation? That's going to be another thing. Can you hold these Olympics with some athletes coming from certain parts of the country, of certain parts of the world, where they are vaccinated, coming into contact and competing against athletes who are not vaccinated? That's the real big next question for the IOC.
Mike Bako, sports editor at dailynational.com. Thank you for your insight.